Welcome everybody to a brand new series. This is the SPIRITFORGED meta report from the Chinese tournaments that are going to be happening every week. So subscribe so you don't miss out on more and give the video a like. A huge thank you to Riftx for compiling these deck lists. We've got 11 different tournaments to look at in varying sizes, of course, the smallest being 8 players, but the biggest at 64. So we're going to work our way through every single tournament, starting with the biggest, ending with the smallest. We're going to look at all top 16 deck lists from the big one, and then as we go on, we'll look at less and less of the top decks. What won the first big event? Kaiser. Surprise. It's not a new deck. Now, there's lots of caveats we need to discuss before we go any further about this data. This is an extremely early tournament. It's on release weekend of SPIRITFORGED. So of course players are not going to have easy access to all the cards. Players are not going to have had many opportunities to practice with new decks. And also in China, it is almost always a best of 1 format, with the caveat being sometimes in a top cut it will be best of 3. We actually don't know at the time of recording if this was best of 1 or best of 3. I will put in the comments as soon as I do as a pinned comment what the answer is. Almost certainly it's best of 1. Maybe there is a top cut with best of 3, but we should assume this is best of 1. That actually has a big impact on the way to build decks, particularly when it comes to battlefield selection, because in a best of 1, you are just randomly selecting one of your battlefields. So what you really need from your battlefields is you just need like 3 generically good battlefields, which are good going first or second. Battlefields which are extremely good in best of 3, like Arena's Greatest and God of the Willow, whatever it's called, where you hold and draw 1. Not good in best of 1, because if you're going second and you use Arena's Greatest, you're going to be in trouble. So lots of caveats. The main thing to bear in mind is this is just a very early snapshot of taking a look at what decks have been successful, what cards people are thinking are good, what new legends are good, and what are some of the new decks looking like. Thank you to Card Market for sponsoring the video. They just added Chinese cards onto their site, so you can go check that out. Let's go Kaiser. We will look at the battlefield because it's new, the Ravenbloom Conservatory. When you defend here, reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's a spell, put it in your hand, otherwise recycle it. Look, Kaiser's going to play a lot of spells. Kaiser's going to defend quite often as well. Seems like a good battlefield option for a Kaiser deck. The Plundering Poro. I think the Plundering Poro is like the reverse Poro. It's like the twin, the pirate twin of the Pouty Poro. And that's a pretty good, like if you're the twin of the Pouty Poro, that means that I have respect for you, because the Pouty Poro is my favorite Poro. Pouty Poro has Deflect, which is obviously like stifling your opponent's energy flow, making your opponent recycle runes much earlier than they would like to. The Plundering Poro, rather than focusing on what your opponent's doing, it's focusing on your rune flow and giving you a gold gear token when you conquer. A gold gear token is a one-time use gear which breaks when you use it, and it gives you the ability to pay a power cost for free. It's like a multicolored seal. You can pay any power cost with it, but it breaks after one single use. Now, that is an extremely good card. Very, very good, particularly when going first. So thinking ahead to when the game is out in English-speaking countries, I think that Plundering Poro would be a particularly good card when you go first, because you just play it down in your very first turn and you're almost guaranteed that first conquer. And you can start ramping up in a sense. It's not exactly ramp, but it's like delayed ramp, right? Because you're not going to have to recycle at some point later on in the game. I think it's brilliant. But it is only 2 might. Would I prefer a Pouty Poro to the Plundering Poro? I think I would. But I still think the Plundering Poro is an exceptionally good card, and I can see why they've got it in the mix here. Ferocious Forerunner is also a new card, 2 copies of that. And by the way, 2 copies of this one in the Rumble starter deck. And I already did a video covering the starters. 6 energy, 1 power, 6 might. And when it dies, you play 2 3 might mech unit tokens to your base. I know, you're wondering, what is a mech unit token? Well, it is a 3 might token, that's a mech. Any other questions? It's good. It's a great card. Really, really strong. Kaiser, though, it tends to have its top end be cards that have Accelerate. So this would be a different kind of threat for a Kaiser deck, and I think that actually is a good thing. I think it's an exceptionally good card. I think that a lot of red decks are going to want to play this as a finisher. Having 3 different bodies, having 12 might, overall is huge for such little energy. Of course, it is not 12 might that you get access to all at once. This is also going to be a brilliant card if there's synergies down the line with Death Knell, right? Like trigger a Death Knell ability of a friendly unit. This would be a great target for such a card. But I expect Ferocious Forerunner to be an exceptionally powerful meta staple and also incredibly cheap because it's in the starter deck and there's 2 copies of it in the starter deck, which is great. Blood Rush and Piercing Light we'll cover in a second. Let's look at Premonition next, which is this very powerful draw 3 spell for just 2 energy, 3 power admittedly, but of course there's Kaiser synergy there with Kaiser paying power costs. But when you've got an abundance of runes available but not enough cards in hand, you're going to be very, very glad to have Premonition. Who cares about recycling a couple of runes that you wouldn't be able to spend otherwise because you didn't have enough cards in hand? It's definitely a card which I would avoid playing 3 copies of, 2 at a push, but just as a one-off, it sounds like a great addition. Of course, let's also bear in mind with the flow of new cards, it might not be the most easy thing to get your hands on more than 1 copy of this. So I could be quite wrong and it could end up being a staple 3 of. I think 2 sounds like a lot already though. So Blood Rush and Piercing Light. Blood Rush for me is like a worse version of Cleave, and Piercing Light is like kind of similar to Falling Star. Now, that's actually a good thing for these cards. Might sound like I'm being harsh on Blood Rush, but actually being a slightly worse Cleave, it turns out that's still a pretty good card because Cleave's very good. So I would never really recommend playing, for example, 2 Cleaves and 1 Blood Rush. But I could absolutely get behind playing 3 Cleaves and 1 Blood Rush. So my way of like viewing Blood Rush is like a 4th, 5th or 6th Cleave, if you so desire. And the reason I think it's worse than Cleave is because it's less explosive. There's less raw power with this card, where you can give a unit Assault 2. However, if you have some spare energy and you want to spend 2 energy, you could give something Assault 4 instead. In fact, you could give 2 different units Assault 2. So the card's got more flexibility than Cleave. It's got more raw power in terms of like ceiling, but you're also paying more, right? Like if Cleave had Repeat, it would be 6 Assault. This is only 4 Assault if you use the Repeat. It's obviously balanced in that way because the card has more flexibility. It should have less firepower. I still think it's a good card. I think Cleave is a better card than Blood Rush though, but that's just my opinion. I could very well be wrong on that. And then Falling Star and Piercing Light comparison. Piercing Light is deal 2 to a unit at a battlefield, then deal 2 to up to 1 other unit. So Falling Star, you can target anything, anywhere. Piercing Light, you have to target a unit at a battlefield, and then you are able to target something else anywhere. But if you use the Repeat 2, you can then do that again. So cast it again. So you could deal 4 to a unit at a battlefield, and then 4 to something elsewhere. And of course you could like mix and match. You could like deal 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Cool. Very good card, very flexible. I think particularly in Kaiser it's good. Like paying 2 energy and 1 power to deal 2 to 2 things is actually very, very good. So I think this card's exceptionally strong. I think it's going to see a lot of competitive play, particularly when you can pay those power costs for free with seals, with gold gear tokens, and with Kaiser. Very good card. All right, second place, Darius, can you believe? Again, the battlefield situation is a bit weird. I don't really understand playing Grove of God Willow and Arena's Greatest in the same deck if it is best of 1 format. That sounds horrible. Imagine going second and you give your opponent a Grove of the God Willow or Arena's Greatest. That sounds like a recipe for disaster, but there we are. I'm not sure exactly the situation on the format. Treasure Hoard, we will cover though as it's new. When you conquer here, you may pay 1 to play a gold gear token exhausted. And I hear what you're saying, Curly. Listen, gold gear. Look at the synergy with the Legion ability of Darius. Wrong. You're wrong. Unlucky. That doesn't work because even though it says play a gold gear token and Legion says if you've already played a card this turn, according to rules, a token is not a card, which is quite confusing if I'm honest, but there we are. That is what it is. In a similar way as a comparison, if you try to return a Victor token to your hand, well, the Victor token tries to go back to your hand, but because it's not a card, it cannot be in your hand. It will like disappear into the ether. So that's not got any synergy with Legion. Similarly, Honest Broker also spawns a gold gear token. No synergy there with the Legion ability, but it's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant card. And this is like the yellow twin of the Plundering Porro. Plundering Porro is when I conquer, you get a gold gear token. This one's when I die, get a gold gear token. I think I prefer the Honest Broker. It's more consistent. Okay, in theory, you can get multiple gold gear tokens off the Plundering Porro, but are you really? Like, the average gold gear you get off a Plundering Porro is less than 1. The average gold gear you get off an Honest Broker is 1. Okay, probably it's ever so slightly less than 1, but it's much closer to 1. So I really like the look of the Honest Broker. You don't have to conquer with it. You don't have to do much. It just has to die, which actually is quite easy to achieve, particularly in a Darius deck where we might expect to see Baited Hook. We actually don't see it in this particular build, but there's big synergy with Baited Hook and Death Knell already. I think the Honest Broker is brilliant. I expected to see a ton of competitive play, even without any synergy. I think it's a 2-drop. It's very solid. I like it a lot. Pouty Porro is also in the mix. Let's cover the new cards only though. Rumble Hot-Headed. Your mechs each have Assault +1, and when I conquer, you may recycle another friendly unit to play a mech from your trash, reduces energy cost by the might of the unit you recycled. And also 3 copies of the Ferocious Forerunner. Now, these cards might look a little bit random in this deck, but these cards are available in the starter deck. You get 2 copies of Rumble Hot-Headed, 2 copies of Ferocious Forerunner. So it seems like this player cracked open a Rumble starter deck, slammed in some of the best cards into their favorite Darius deck, and they absolutely made it work. Very fascinating to see such a deck put in so much work. I mean, I like Darius a lot. The only synergy here with the mechs is the Ferocious Forerunner and the Rumble. There's not any other mechs. Now, the other new card is Battering Ram, which is a 5 energy, 5 might card. I cost 1 energy less for each card you've played this turn to a minimum of 1. Sounds like good synergy with the Darius deck, right? You've got the Legion effects. You're going to be doing lots of things on the cheap. Pretty cool addition to a Darius deck. Magma Worm also has some top end, but that's all the new cards in that one. So let's move on. There's lots of decks to look at. Third place, Annie. Annie, no new battlefields. Annie's got some new cards though. The Treasure Hunter, a 1 might, 2 energy card. When I move, play a gold gear token exhausted. Very good card. 1 might not seem like a lot, but it's a lot more than you might think, which sounds a little bit ridiculous, right? But hear me out. Like, honestly, a 1 might card is like probably going to prove to be, I would wager, my favorite kind of card, because you're going to have like really good abilities on these cards. And 1 might is still a unit that can conquer very cheaply. If you look at how good Sneaky Deckhand has been in Annie decks, right? Scoring those cheap points. If you think about how good Victor decks can be, scoring cheap points as well. Like 1 might is okay, it's not very mighty, but it still scores points. And being able to move and get a gold gear token, that's crazy. That's such a good card. Ezreal Prodigy's in the mix as well. 3 energy, 1 power. Of course, you could pay that power cost with your gold gear token. 3 might. When you play me, discard 1, then draw 2. I mean, you can't go wrong, can you? You play it, you discard 1 to draw 2. So basically, you lose 2 cards from hand, you get 1 on the board, and you get 2 cards in hand. So Ezreal gets you a 3 might guy on the board, and replaces itself, and you also discard a bad card in hand. Really good. There's also some interesting synergy with like scrap heaps in there, but the fact is it replaces itself, and you also get some tutoring. The optional additional costs you pay cost 1 energy or 1 power less. So there's even more to Ezreal. So optional costs would be, for example, like on Kaiser, the additional cost. With the Accelerate, you could accelerate Kaiser for either 5 energy and no power, or 4 energy and 1 power. So Ezreal's got some synergy with cards like Kaiser. Is Ezreal good? Yes. It replaces itself. It can't be bad. It just can't be bad. The power cost is quite heavy, but again, gold gear goes a long way to making that not as impactful. We've also got 2 Ferocious Forerunners, again, in the starter deck. Longsword, which I also believe there's a copy of in the starter deck, which has the quick draw effect. So it's a reaction, which is extremely powerful, and it is giving a unit +2 might. So if your opponent attacks your Noxus Hopeful, and they're expecting you to flash it and surprise, longsword, 6 might guy. And he doesn't really have a good way of doing that currently. They have cleave, which is good when attacking, but longsword is like your best option when defending to buff up a unit and make it stronger. I need to stop using the phrase buff, because in riftbound that means something different, but make your unit more mightier. Piercing Lights in this one, 2 copies, and then Switcheroo, which is a new purple card, 2 energy and 2 power. It's also got the hidden ability and its action speed. Swap the might of 2 units at the same battlefield this turn. Crazy finisher. I'm really excited about this card in Teemo, obviously with the Teemo synergy, but I think this card's actually particularly good as a spell. And in an Annie deck, I think it looks extremely good. 2 energy plus Annie equals synergy. We like synergy. I think it's exceptional. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think this card could be a bit broken. There's some other cards on the sideboard we can take a quick look at. I'm not sure how the sideboards work in this format, but let's look at the cards they like. Angle Shot, 2 energy. Choose a unit and an equipment with the same controller. Attach that equipment to that unit or detach that equipment from that unit, draw 1. Seems extremely niche in this deck with only the quick draw longsword. Hard Bargain looks crazy good. Counter a spell unless their controller pays 2. So you pay 2 to counter a spell, in purple by the way. In purple, counter spell, crazy. Your opponent can undo the counter by paying 2 themselves. But then you can pay another 2 to counter it again. And they can pay 2 if they undo it. But that means that your opponent's going to be spending Hard Bargain's crazy. I love this card. I think it's great. Really good. All right, moving on. 4th place, we've got our first new legend. It's Azir. Azir is your Sand Soldiers have Weapon Master. So Weapon Master is a new keyword, which we'll cover in just a moment. And you can pay 1 energy to exert Azir and play a 2 might Sand Soldier unit token to your base. Use only if you played an equipment this turn. So you can only do that if you play an equipment. Weapon Master is an equipment. And a Sand Soldier unit token is, you guessed it, a Sand Soldier unit token with 2 might. Crazy, who would have thought? We've got Ornn's Forge as one of the battlefields. When you control this battlefield, the first friendly non-unit gear played each turn costs 1 less. So if you've got... That doesn't say less than 1. So you could, if you've got a 1 cost gear, it could cost 0. Here's my question, why I say, could you play a seal for -1 energy? I think the answer is no. I'm sure it's written in the rules, but usually the way that these cards are written would be up to a cost of 1, right? Or like, it often says that with like might, I suppose, no lower than 1 might. I think the answer is no, you wouldn't be able to get a -1 seal, but that would be funny if you could. So the chosen champion here is Azir Sovereign, which is a 4 energy and 4 might card with no power cost, which is an extremely good thing to have as a legend. It's also got Accelerate, as a champion. If you look at Kaiser, for example, right, same stat line, also has Accelerate, so that's a good start. When I attack, you may move any number of your token units to this battlefield. So that could be token units that are at a different battlefield, that could be token units that you've just spawned at your base. That seems pretty good. With Accelerate as a chosen champion, I think it's a very good chosen champion. It just sits there waiting in the wings until the right moment to strike. You've always got it. And frankly, if you don't have a 4 energy card in your opening hand, right, and it comes to your turn 2, you can always just play it as a 4/4, 4 for 4. Not great, but still gives you some consistency. So I think Azir is going to be a very nice chosen champion. You don't want to use it early. You want to build your board and use it as like a big power play. But I think that's actually a really good thing for a champion. So Jan is a new one as well. 3 energy, 1 power, 3 might with reaction. When you play me, heal your units here. Then move an enemy unit from here to base. Healing isn't super relevant outside of orange often. Like orange seems to be like where you would have the most synergy with healing with cards like Challenge, for example. But you've move an enemy unit from here to its base seems... Then move an enemy unit from here to its base. It's reaction. Okay. The reaction's key, right? So Janet is like comparable somewhat to like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Hand trap, almost, not quite, but it's like a Shen. Shen's in the first set. It's the only unit card which has a reaction. So you can play this during a combat. So if your opponent uses like a Hextech Ray, right, in the first chain, you could let the Hextech Ray damage go through and then respond later on with Janna once the damage has been assigned. So Janna's a very interesting option. And then move an enemy unit from here to its base. I think that's the most powerful part of the ability, rather than the heal. I think the heal is going to be quite situational. It's a nice option to have, for sure. But 3 might plus return something to its base. It's like green's answer to Fight or Flight, and we know how good Fight or Flight is. I think that's an exceptionally good card. I like it a lot. Royal Guard is 4 energy, 2 might. When you play me, play a 2 might Sand Soldier unit token here. Obviously a nice synergy with the Azir Sovereign. Karina, this art is giving me Rune Terror, Nostalgia. 7 energy, 1 power, 6 might, accelerate 1. When I move to a battlefield, play 3 1 might recruit tokens here. Again, more synergy with the recruits. Tokens are good, you go wide. There's Doran Shield. Obviously, this deck's going to have a bunch of equipment because of the legend, giving all of your Sand Soldiers Weapon Master. I don't think we saw any Sand Soldiers yet, apart from the tokens. Maybe they're the only Sand Soldiers. I am learning on the job just as well. You know, the set's not out for another 2.5 months. I've got plenty of time. But Doran Shield, +1 tank. We've got Eye of the Herald. When I move here, play a 1 might recruit token here. Okay. The Brutalizer, which is if this unit was attached to, if this was attached to me this turn, I have an additional +2 might. So it's 3 might the turn it's attached. Now that's pretty good if you're able to like move your things around. We've got the Sacred Shears, which is Death Knell, draw 1 and +1 might as well. Lots of new cards in this, obviously with the new equipment. That makes a lot of sense that this would be a deck which needs lots of new cards. And this is the kind of deck I would expect to see a lot more of starting next week. We've got Desert's Call in here, which is a 2 energy, repeat 2. Play a 2 might Sand Soldier unit token. We've got Emperor's Divide. Move any number of friendly units at a battlefield to their base. Damn. But it is an action. So you might say, isn't that just like Flash, but better? Well, Flash, a big reason that Flash is seeing play when you compare it to Fight or Flight is a action speed. Flash is a reaction. So that is extremely significant and it makes this card a lot worse than it might first appear. Still good, but not as good as you might think. Feral Strength, 2 energy with reaction speed and repeat 2. Give a unit +2 might this turn. That's good. I like that a lot. And also Arise, the signature spell for Azir, and there's 2 copies of it. How did they get their hands on 2 copies of it so quickly? 6 energy, 1 power cost, which is very high cost for a signature spell, but I like the look of it already. I haven't actually seen this one. Play a 2 might Sand Soldier unit token for each equipment you control, then ready 2 of them. Yeah, sounds great. And then imagine you're at 10 energy, Arise and Azir Sovereign. I guess you would need to be at 11 because of the accelerate. 11 energy, you go Azir Sovereign, Arise. Bam! You move Azir, or he's already down on the board, right? You play Azir Sovereign. Next turn, you play Arise. And then you move into the battlefield with Azir. You can bring in as many of those tokens as you want, even if they're tapped. Very, very cool deck. Excited to see more of it with the Weapon Master synergy, with all that equipment stuff going on. It's pretty cool to see, for sure. Big, big shout out to this player. Annie made the top 8. Treasure Hunter's in this one. The Overzealous Fan as well. When I defend, you may kill me to move an attacking unit to its base. It's an unorthodox card, but it could be good. It's not really the card you want to be playing on your first turn, but I think it's actually a good option to have later in the game. I could see this creeping in as like a 1 or 2 of probably. I think it's reasonable. This is like a card that you really want as you're just about to win, right? Like if you're at 7 points and you just need to hold, you play the Overzealous Fan to the battlefield you control. Sounds great, right? Sounds really, really good. So it's got potential for sure. Ezreal, 3 copies of him in this one, which we already covered. Longsword also. Detonate, Killer Gear, its controller draws 2. Could use that on your own stuff potentially in some decks, with like Scrap Peeps, for example, which are also in the main deck here. Blood Rush is the new one we already covered. Factory Recall, return a gear to its owner's hand. Hard Bargain, which is that counter. And then some of the cards on the sideboard, there's also Switcheroo in the mix there, as well as Downwell, which seems very expensive for Annie, but it's like the new board clear. 8 energy, 2 power, return all units and gear to their owner's hand. I think this will be an extremely popular meta card. Not in Annie though, to be honest. Another Annie deck also in the top 8. This one's also got Ravenbloom Conservatory in the mix. It's got the new Draven, 4 energy, 4 power. When I win a combat, play a gold gear token exhausted. When I attack or defend, you may pay power, a red power. If you do, give me +2 might. Very, very good card. But the other Draven is getting a lot of talk on the interwebs right now. I've seen a tweet where someone said, this card will be banned. I mean, it's a bit early for such hot takes, but this card does seem a little bit crazy. I'm not going to lie. The first time I win a combat, each turn, you score 1 point. When I die in combat, choose an opponent, they score 1 point. So basically, if you win a combat with this guy, he is giga broken. Scoring points for fun, right? Especially with like Ride the Wind, for example, which you would imagine is going to be in the deck with Annie. It's not, but yeah. Oh, it is. There you go. See, told you. I knew it. I mean, it's Annie. It's fine. It's Ride the Wind. Like Draven Ride the Wind sounds great, but it's also important to note that you can win combat with Draven in your opponent's turn and score points with him, right? So, like, imagine you win a combat with Draven, you score a point and you score a point for conquering, and then your opponent next turn, they try to remove your Draven because if you hold, you win, and then you use fight or flight on your opponent's card. You manage to win that combat, but they're just about to, like, move some more stuff in, for example. Well, that would count as a 1 combat. Like, even if you don't go to the damage step, a combat still started. You kind of do go to the damage step in a sense. There's just nothing to deal damage, right? They have 0 might. So Draven synergy with cards like Fight or Flight, cards like Ride the Wind as well, means that it has an extremely high ceiling. However, I think that this card is so good, and like, for example, not to like single out this player, I don't know them personally, I have no idea who it was, it just came up on my feed. Like, when a card like this is that strong, but it has such a big downside, there is surely going to be people that are giga-teching for this, right? And like, imagine on your sideboard, you just have the anti-Draven Audacious card. Unlucky, Singularity. Obviously, you wouldn't score a point for Singularity, but like something like Vengeance, where you can like kill an opponent's card, right? It could be very interesting. But then, of course, there's also like spell counters like Hard Bargain, right? You can counter big spells with Hard Bargain. So maybe Draven proves to be one of the best cards of the set. It certainly looks like it could be the case. Some of the other new cards in this one is Mindspace is not new, it's in there. Longsword, Boots of Swiftness, which gives something ganking. I think that's a really interesting equipment. Last Rites, which is a 3 energy equipment that gives +2 might, and it's a epic. When I conquer or hold, you may play a unit from your trash. Pretty damn spicy. And Angle Shoot is also Angle Shot, which is quite an ironic name to have in a card game. That's pretty funny. I like it. Choose a unit and equipment with the same controller. Attach the equipment to that unit, or detach that equipment to that unit, draw 1. So it replaces itself. Choose a unit and an equipment with the same controller. Yeah. I mean, with Last Rites, with Boost of Swiftness, with Longsword, there's a lot of potential with that. That seems like a really good option. I love the card name. That's brilliant. Draven! Let's go. Top 8 for Draven. And we've got the Glorious Executioner. When you win a combat, draw 1. Draven's been the talk of the town for quite a long while. In terms of new battlefields, there's that Treasure Hoard one, which is when you conquer here, you may pay 1 to get a gold gear token exhausted. Draven's in the mix as the Chosen Champion, which is a brilliant Chosen Champion. Of course, you could also pick the purple one, if you so desire. Gem Jammer, which a very good Riftbound content creator revealed. It was me. It was me. Amazing card. Amazing card. It's so good. I think Annie will play this card too. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Giving ganking. I talked about this card so much already. Overzealous Fan is also in this one. Fizz. 3 energy, 1 might, 3 energy, 1 power, 3 might. When you play me, you may play a spell from your trash with energy cost no more than 3, ignoring its energy cost. Recycle that spell after you play it. Crazy! Particularly big synergy with the signature spell, Spinning Axe. 2 energy, 1 power is signature gear. There's no synergy there. It's a signature gear. Spinning Axe is great, but let's talk about Fizz first. So what do you have with Fizz in this deck? Angle Shot, Blood Rush, Flash, Fight or Flight, Hard Bargain, Piercing Like Rebuke, Ride the Wind, Switcheroo. Quite a few options. So I think Fizz is exceptional. Play it, play the spell immediately. Like the tempo you're gaining off of that is exceptionally high, right? Imagine you've got a gold gear token down, which you can get off one of the battlefields. Pay 3 energy, no power, maybe you pay the 1 power, even if you pay the power cost, and you suddenly play like a fight or flight alongside it, or an angle shot, or whatever it might be. It's like so much tempo, right? You're spending 3 energy and 1 power, but you're potentially playing like up to 6 energy worth of cards, in a sense, right? You get a unit and an expensive-ish spell. I think it's really, really, really interesting. You've got Spinning Axe, also flexibility, right? It's so flexible because it can be what you need when you need it. The higher quantity of different spell cards you play, the better that Fizz becomes because of that flexibility. Ferocious Forerunner in there, again, very available because of the starter decks. That's why we're seeing so much of it, even though it is a brilliant card. Spinning Axe as that signature gear is great. It's like the Longsword, but better. +1 might better. Does have that downside of being temporary though. Blood Rush, Angle Shot, Hard Bargain, Piercing Light, Switcheroo. Quite a lot of the same cards we've already seen in some of the other decks. Fiora! I was a little bit harsh on the Fiora starter deck. A lot of people think it's quite good, so fair enough. Sunken Tree is a new battlefield. Sunken Temple, in fact. Turning my head sideways. When you conquer here with 1 or more mighty units, you may pay 1 to draw 1. Pay 1 energy. That sounds good. I like it. This deck is all about making your units mighty. When one of your units become mighty, you channel a Rune Exhausted. The chosen champion for this one is Fiora Worthy, but there's also an additional copy of Fiora Worthy in the main deck. Possibly there would be 3 if they had access to all 3. When a unit you control becomes mighty, you may pay a power to ready it. The Honest Broker's in there as one of. Sea Monkey, which is 2 energy, 2 might. You may pay 1 energy as an additional cost to play me. When you play me, if you paid the additional cost, buff me. I think this card's great. So you basically play it as a 2 for 2 or a 3 for 3, but if you pay as a 3 for 3, there's buff synergy there with some other cards, some other battlefields, etc. I think it's a really, really good card. I like it a lot for flexibility's sake, right? It's great when you go first. It's great when you go second on your first turn. Like, this is like the ideal card to see in your hand, right? Regardless of if you're going first or second. The Unsung Hero. I mean, it's not great to play on turn 1. It's a flexible card. If you've got buff synergy, it's going to be worth it. If you don't, it's probably not going to be worth it because it's specifically buffing itself. If it could buff something else as that additional cost, it'll be a lot better. As it is, I don't really like it that much, but it's cool. It's a cool card. It's not bad. It's not great either, though. Unsung Hero, Death Knell, If I Was Mighty, draw 2. So really, really interesting card in this one. Again, these like 2 might 2-drops are kind of sad to be playing so early if you're not doing anything more with them, but they do provide consistency and they can be, especially in the case of the Unsung Hero, quite a bit better later on in the game. Being able to draw 2 is nothing to scoff at, particularly because you're trying to make units mighty because that is kind of what your deck is doing, right? First Mate, 3 copies. I love First Mate. Then we've got Lucian and Akshan. I think at least one of these is in the starter deck, if I'm not mistaken. So Lucian Merciless is 3 energy, 3 might with Weapon Master. When you play me, you may equip one of your equipments to me for a power less, even if it's already attached. The first time I conquer each turn, ready me. So you play this, you can put a gear that's already down on the board or attach to something else onto it. And the first time it conquers each turn, ready me. So what Lucian is looking to do, it's looking to conquer, ready, retreat, right? That's kind of the game plan. If you can somehow give it ganking, there could be some nice options there, right? Where it conquers, it readies, it ganks, it scores another point. It won't ready a second time because it's only the first time. But Lucian is like basically good at scoring some cheap points. It's a way of scoring points without then losing tempo the next turn as your opponent moves into the battlefield and clears your Lucian away, because you can just retreat it straight afterwards and do the same thing again the next turn. Akshan also has Weapon Master. You may pay 2 additional power when playing it, and when you play me, if you paid the 2 power, move an enemy gear to your base. You control it until I leave the board. If it's an equipment, attach it to me. Bro. Dazzling Aurora. Hello. Nice Dazzling Aurora you got there, bro. Would be a shame if I had to Akshan Mischievous and steal it. The swing there is crazy. Of course, your opponent could remove the Akshan the following turn, most likely. But an Akshan at the base is not going to be that easy to deal with. Akshan is awesome. I love this guy. Jack's Unrelenting, 4 energy, 1 power, and 3 might. Also with Weapon Master, when you attach an equipment to me, you may pay 1 energy to draw 1. Not bad. Drawing is good. Doran's Blade, +2 might. Bone Shiver, which I think is also an epic. It is gear. When I conquer, channel 1 rune exhausted. +2 might as well. The +2 might is significant, as it is on the Doran's Blade, because of the Fiora you're trying to make things mighty, right? And look at that, BF Sword, +3 might. That's going to be very good on an unsung hero, isn't it? Suddenly you're going to be ramping, yada yada. There's another new card in here, which I think is maybe my pick. If you had to put me on the spot for best card of the set, which is Punch First. 1 energy, 2 power. Give a unit +5 might this turn. Yes, the power cost is extremely high, but 5 might for 1 power, and you can do it in showdowns when it's not your turn. Crazy. Insane card. So much tempo gain off this thing. I expect this to be everywhere. Death Grip, 2 energy spell with reaction. Kill a friendly unit to give plus might equal to its might to another friendly unit this turn, draw 1. All right, that would be nice on a death knell, right? Like you have a mighty unsung hero, you use the Death Grip on it, you draw 1 off the Death Grip, you draw 2 off the unsung hero, and you would give 5 might to another one of your friendly units, which could then go into a combat and make use of that. So it's very, very interesting, right? Like if you've got a 5 might unsung hero, you go into a combat with it, make use of it, and then it's like exhausted, and then bam, trigger the Death Knell with Death Grip, draw a bunch of cards, and transfer that power elsewhere. It's a very interesting card. And then Ruin Runner, I missed 2, but we'll look at those in a second. Ruin Runner, I can't be chosen by enemy spells and abilities. Sure, it's kind of lackluster in it, but it's interesting. We've got Strike Down, which is 3 energy, 1 power. Choose an equipped friendly unit. Bro, I keep misclicking, I'm so sorry. Choose an equipped friendly unit. It deals damage equal to its might to an enemy unit. Then detach an equipment. And then Riposte, which is the signature spell for Fiora, which I think is very good. Also 1 copy of this in the starter deck. Choose a friendly unit and a spell. Counter that spell and give that unit plus might equal to that spell's energy cost this turn. We've got so many more decks to look at. It's actually absurd. We've got Rexai. Rexai is when I conquer, or when you conquer, you may exhaust me to reveal the top 2 cards of your main deck. You may then play 1 and then recycle the rest. We've got also the Sunken Temple in this one, which is mighty units. You pay 1 to draw. And then also the Treasure Hoard, which is the gold gear one. Rexai, Chosen Champion, Breacher with 3 energy and 3 might. With the Accelerate ability, you may pay 1 energy and 1 power as an additional cost to have me enter ready. It's got Assault +1, and friendly units played from anywhere other than the player's hand have Accelerate. So Rexai's looking to play lots of cards off the top of the deck, and there's quite a lot of synergy with that whole idea. The Honest Broker's in this one as well, which I think is great. Void Hatchling. I think the Void keyword is relevant for some certain synergies. If you would reveal cards from a deck, which is going to be your own usually, look at the top card first, you may recycle it, then reveal those cards. So, for example, with the Rexai, when you conquer, you may exhaust me to reveal the top 2. If you have the Void Hatchling, before the Rexai ability goes through, you can take a peek at the first card and either keep it there or put it on the bottom. It's kind of like Vision, but it's like if you were to play a Vision card, reveal. No. Vision doesn't reveal, but Rexai does. So there's obviously a big synergy there. The Ferocious Forerunner again in the starter deck. Under Titan, 3 copies. When you play me, give your other units +2 might this turn. As I'm revealed from your deck, add 2 energy. Crazy. Under Titan is like a nice finisher option, but really what it is a card that you just want to hit off of your reveals, right? Because if you reveal it, you get 2 energy for free. It's crazy good. Like it's just a card which you never really care about playing. You just want to reveal it. Like any card like this is good. Any card, or at least it has the potential to be good. The thing is about the Under Titan is like You could print this kind of ability. Like imagine this ability on like a 100 energy, 700 power card with 1 might. Hear me out. If the ability was good enough, like as I'm revealed from your deck, add, I don't know, 5 energy, that kind of card would see play. My point here is, potentially would see play, I'm sure it would. My point here is that Under Titan has a really good ability, like when I'm revealed, add 2, that's the main use. But it's still pretty damn insane when you just play it. Like, not insane, but it's really not bad. So I think this is an exceptional card. Seal of Rage is in the mix, which is a card I really like. I think seals are underrated. And then Void Rush, which is the signature spell here. Reveal the top 2 cards of your main deck. You may play one of them, reducing its cost by 2. Draw any you did not play. You kind of like pay a power cost. Get to play one of the cards, get to put the other in hand so it replaces itself, and you get to play a card as well. So it's really, really good. I like it. Cool. We've got another Draven. This one's got a lot of the similar cards we've been looking at already. I don't think there's anything new in this one, but another good result for Draven. There's new cards, but we've covered all of them already, and the video is already unbelievably long. We've got Lucian Purifier in the top 16. Let's go, Lucian. Forge of the Fluffed. While you control this battlefield, friendly legends here have exhaust and attach an equipment you control to a unit you control. Attach an equipment you control to a unit. While you control this battlefield, friendly legends. So your Lucian will have, you can exhaust it to attach an equipment you control to a unit you control. I mean, Lucian doesn't care about exhausting, so that's just good with equipment, because your equipment each give assault +1. So my concern about like Lucian is like how much equipment can you really make use of for that to actually be good enough? I'm still quite skeptical, but the Forge of the Fluffed makes him better because you can also do some exhausting of him to give him like a bonus ability. So that's really, really cool to see. Orn's Forge is also in there, which has synergy with gear. Lucian Merciless is in there, who we looked at. 2 copies of that Lucian Merciless. One's going to be the Chosen Champ. We've got Akshan as well, who we looked at. Draven, who we looked at as well. The Serrated Dirk, which is giving something +2 assault. We've got a lot of these like plus might equipments, as you would expect with an equipment deck. Punch first 3 copies, Angle Shot, and Relentless Pursuit as the signature spell. 2 energy, 1 power. Move a friendly unit. You may attach an equipment with the same controller to it. This turn, this unit has when I conquer, you may move me to my base. Moving is always good. Moving is always good. And strike down's in there as well. So basically, like what this deck's looking to do is it's like looking to conquer a lot quite cheaply and just score lots of cheap points and win quickly. So Lucian Purifier, like while the legend is not that impressive, if you're winning quickly, that +1 might is actually going to be quite impactful, right? On like turn 7, +1 might is going to do very little, but on turn 2, turn 3, 1 might can make a huge game-winning difference. Gem Jammer's great. I would probably want 3 first mates in this deck. That's the only thing I would say about that. All right, up next, we've got some more top 16 deck lists. We've got some Master Yis and some Kaisers. Forge of the Fluffed, also in this one with Master Yi, allowing you to exhaust your Master Yis, pretty cool. And Power Nexus, when you hold here, you may pay 4 power to score 1 point. Crazy. Forgotten Monument, players can't score here until their 3rd turn. Very cool. We've got the Lonely Poro, which has the Death Knell ability. If I died alone, draw 1. So sad, but so good. I like this card quite a bit. I think it's very strong. Very strong. We've got Akshan, we've got the Navori Scout, 4 energy, 4 might with Deflect. It's not bad. It's kind of like a Palti Poro that costs a little bit more and is a bit beefier. I think Palti Poro is better, but I think Palti Poro is better than most cards. So I think it's an interesting addition. I think it could see some play for sure. The Yordle Explorer, when you play a card with power cost 2 or more, draw 1. The Ruin Runner, this is a really cool deck, right? Like this player is just trying to be annoying. With the Ruin Runner, with Master Yi, like if ever this card's going to be good, it's like when it is getting +2 might off of the legend. And also you're playing like some other deflect cards. So I think it's a really interesting build. White Flame Protector's in there. Guardian Angel. which is an equipment which says, if I would die, kill Guardian Angel instead, heal me, exhaust me, and recall me. So it's kind of similar to Zhonya's Hourglass. We've got Trinity Force. When I hold, score 1 point. Kind of similar to the Ari card, which is really cool to have on an equipment which can be attached to any unit. Punch first, as expected, and thwonk, which is a repeat to action, stun, a attacking unit. This card is brilliant. Arguably the best stun card in the game, but of course the caveat is it's a lot more niche because it's stun and attacking unit specifically. Also not so fast, which I think I might have skimmed past earlier on in the video, because this is an artwork from Runeterra, and I was like, yeah, so it's been around for a while, but this is a counter card. Counter an enemy spell or ability that chooses a friendly unit or gear. That includes cards which cost 99 energy. So that's pretty good for just 2 and 1 power. We've got a Kaiser deck now. Kaiser, also on the Plundering Poro. It's got Forecaster. Your mechs have vision. That's also a card in the starter deck, in the Rumble starter deck, which is probably why it's there. Basically, this person's taken the Rumble deck and they've plagiarized it and turned it into Kaiser. Plagiarized is not the word I was looking for there. They had a slightly more rude word, which I won't be using on this one. But yeah, fair play to them, right? Why not? Production Surge. This costs 2 energy less if you control a mech. Play a 3 might mech unit token to your base. Whoa, I wanted to see Rumble. Is this really not a Rumble deck? Oh, it's got a Carthian Rain. I was like sat there like maybe it's actually just a Rumble deck and it's a typo on the site, but no, it plays a Carthian Rain. It's a Kaiser deck. Oh, that's sad. Never mind. Fair play to them. You got to do what you got to do, right? You're here to win, not make friends, I suppose, sometimes. Full respect to that player. Actions in this one, it's another Master Sea Monkey, Lonely Poro, and the Navori Scout. So quite a lot of the same similar cards. Ruin Runner and Thwonks. Looks like these guys maybe prepped together. We've got another Master Yi before we start moving on to the next tournament. This one has Carnivore Snapvine, which actually a card I quite like in the game. I think it's quite underrated. Guardian of the Passage. When I hold, you may return a unit or gear from your trash to your hand. All right. Tournament 2, 29 players. Kaiser won it, guys. Kaiser won it. This one also basically took the Rumble deck and made it into a Kaiser. Fair enough. Forecaster, Gem Jammer, Plundering Poro, Rumble Hot-Headed, Ferocious Forerunner, Blood Rush, Stupefy, Falling Star, Piercing Light, Production Surge. So Production Surge, just like take a closer look at it because I skimmed past it before. This costs 2 energy less if you control a mech. Play a 3 might mech unit token to your base, draw 1. This card's crazy in Kaiser. Poor Rumble. This card's crazy good. So you're paying 2 energy, no power. Because you use Kaiser effect instead. Draw 1 and play a 3 might mech. Yeah, that's such a good card. Thermobeam Singularity, again, kind of evidence that this is a best of 1 format when you've got Thermobeam in the main deck, right? Damn. Damn. I hope Rumble's good, but I mean, it does make sense that the best way to play Rumble is with Rumble cards and Kaiser. I mean, it does make sense, right? I could see it. Jimbo came second in here with Set. No Battlefields we haven't already covered. They've got the Sunken Temple in there. Sea Monkey is a 2-drop. Seems particularly good in Set because Set can struggle to get buffs at times. But it's definitely a deck which has a lot of buff payoff. In particular, the Legend ability. And also the Call to Glory in particular. So like in a yellow orange deck, it's probably where Sea Monkey is best because of this Call to Glory, being able to spend the buff to get +3 might. If you're using Call to Glory and Sea Monkey, right, you're getting 2 cards from hand for 3 energy to get a 2 might guy with a buff and a combat trick later on. Like, it's extremely good. Sea Monkey's brilliant in Set, that's for sure. Fiora Worthy's in here. Fiora Victorious is in the mix. Ruin Runner, which is looking really popular, which is quite interesting, because when I first looked at it, I was like, But yeah, I mean, maybe it's actually good. Honestly, I'm coming around to it. The more I think about it, the more I think I maybe got it wrong. Particularly with Punch First existing, my goodness. Fey Dragon, 7 energy, 1 power, 7 might. Very, very expensive cost in a Set deck. Set is very, very power hungry. When you play me, buff up to 4 friendly units. When you spend a buff, play a gold gear token exhausted. I mean, it's a powerful card. I would imagine it might be a little bit too expensive in the grand scheme of things, though, for a set deck, but it's definitely one to keep an eye on. Rally the Troops is also in the mix, as well as Bone Shiver. And Rally the Troops we haven't looked at. When a friendly unit is played this turn, buff it and draw 1. I think that's pretty good. I think that will see playing set. Third place, Fiora. Fiora has a starter deck, so probably it's going to be quite similar to that with a few additions. Kiana's been added. For example, Rally the Troops also got that call to glory in there as well. But yeah, it looks quite similar to the starter deck, I think. Lucian and Akshan in the mix. Set Brawler in the mix. Awesome. We're going to keep skimming through these because this video has gone on longer than I expected. Draven in the top 8. Again, only 29 players in this, but it's just interesting to see how things are looking. Teemo Scout, not something you always see, that's for sure. Any other new cards, Angle Shot. But we're seeing like a pattern of a lot of the cards which are being highly rated. Also, like a lot of them only in starter decks as well, of course, is the thing we have to bear in mind. So it's another Azir deck, which we'll definitely zoom in on a little bit more. Hall of Legends. When you conquer here, you may pay 1 energy to ready your legend. Sounds good. Veiled Temple. When you conquer here, you may ready a friendly gear. If it's an equipment, you may detach it. So everything, all your Sand Soldiers will have Weapon Master. I don't think Sand Soldier is a tag, but rather it might just be the tokens, right? Seems like Sand Soldier might just be the token. So your tokens can basically attach your gear to them for 1 power less when you play them. Which basically means you get to attach most things to your Sand Soldiers for free, which turns them into some pretty damn good cards. So Azir Ascendant is also in this one. 6 energy, 1 power, 6 might. It has a green power cost action as an ability. So this means that you could do it in a showdown during your opponent's turn as an action, at action speed. Choose a unit you control. Move me to its location and it to my original location. If it's equipped, you may attach one of its equipments to me. Use only once per turn. So if your opponent triggers a showdown and you have focus, you could play Azir Ascendant. Just not as a reaction speed, right? Or you could trigger the action. It would have to be on the board already for this ability to work, but it's got a lot of potential, right? Like just move away your smaller guy, because this deck doesn't play many units at all. Oh my goodness. But you've got your tokens, right? So you move away a token with a equipment and you swap it with Azir Ascendant. Oh, like rises to the occasion, right? Very cool thematic card. I like it. Death Grips in this one as well. Desert's cool. Play a 2 Might Sand Soldier unit token. Emperor's Divide. Move any number of friendly units to the battlefield to their base. Gods! Play a 2 Might Sand Soldier unit token. You may pay a power to ready it. And Arise. Play a 2 Might Sand Soldier for equipment you control. So really, really cool deck. I'm excited to see this one. It looks spicy. Azir looks really spicy. I'm so excited for this set. On to the next tournament. Another 29 player tournament and Kaiser. Kaiser won it, guys. Kaiser won it, but massive pinch of salt. Basically, people have taken the Rumble deck. They put all the Rumble cards into a Kaiser deck. Happy days. Because, yeah, the starter decks are easily accessible on release day. Forecaster. Your mechs have vision. Gem Jammer. Plundering Poro. Bubble Bot. Great name. When you play me, ready another friendly mech. I love this card. I think it's exceptional. It's not quite First Mate, but it's the blue version of First Mate. There's also Rumble Scrapper, which you get 1 copy of this epic Rumble in the starter deck. 5 energy and 1 power. Your mechs have +1 might, including me. When I hold, play a 3 might mech unit token to your base. Definitely prefer the Rumble Hot-Headed, but this is certainly an interesting option. We've got the Production Surge as well in the mix there. Second place, Darius. Also, first and second place, Kaiser and Darius. Didn't expect that. Gem Jammers in this one, which I think is a great addition. We've got the Eager Drakehold. I enter ready, but it's 3 energy, 1 power for 3 might. It's not bad. It's not bad. As like a little one-of, I think this actually could see some competitive play. It's kind of similar to like a Legion Rearguard. If you compare it to Legion Rearguard, it's like a worse version of Legion Rearguard. I don't think it will see play. Why do I think it's worse than Legion Rearguard? So Legion Rearguard is the 2 energy, 2 might, no power card. You can just play it as like a 2/2. But you can pay, it has accelerate, right? You can pay a power and an energy, and it can enter ready. So that card, you can pay 3 energy and a power and enter ready for 2 might, but you can just play it as a 2/2 for no power. I think the flexibility is a lot better than the extra might. There's another cool little thing in this Draven deck, which is Dunebreaker, which has 7 energy as 7 might and 1 power. If you have 2 or fewer cards in your hand, I enter ready. When I hold, draw 2. So the fact that you can enter ready and draw your cards is really cool, but particularly when you look at the synergy that it has with the Skyfall of Arion, which is my hold effects are also conquer effects and vice versa. So if you can equip this to your Dunebreaker and conquer, because of course it's also going to enter ready, then you would draw 2, and then if you hold, you draw 2 more. And in a similar way, it has nice synergy with Kaiser. If Kaiser is attached with this, if you hold with Kaiser, you would activate her conquer effect, and you would draw 1, which is really very cool. Third place, Draven. I did just have a big issue with my recording where I lost the second half of it, so I'm having to re-record this bit now. So I'm going to be skimming through the last bits because it's getting quite late here. But Draven finished third at this one. Gem Jammer, Overzealous Fan, Treasure Hunter, looking like a popular set of 2 drops at these events. And there's this Edge of Night card, which is hidden, but it's just +2 might. I don't really think this card's very good at all. But we're seeing a lot of the same cards pop up time and time again with like Angle Shoot, Switcheroo, and a lot of these 2 drops as well. Now the Victor deck's really interesting. It's playing this Sakura card. By the way, please correct me on pronunciations. I need to learn the hard way. I must be assigned combat damage lost. If another unit you control here would die, if it has less might than me, instead heal it, exhaust it, and recall it. That's going to be pretty nice with tokens, Victor tokens. Blade of the Ring King, you get +4 might as an equipment, but you have to kill a friendly unit every time you equip it. So quite an expensive cost. Blood Money, kill a unit at a battlefield with 2 might or less. If it was an enemy unit, you can play a gold gear token exhausted. If it was a friendly unit, you play 2 gold gear tokens. It's really good if you use it on an enemy unit, but how often are you going to be able to do that? Well, maybe with Stupefy, you could do it more often than you might think. And in that case, it would be brilliant if you can pull that off. So it's an interesting addition. Wages of Pain, deal 3 to units at a battlefield and play a gold gear token exhausted. So what I like about this take on Victor is Victor's quite a control heavy deck often, but the power cost can really go quite crazy. Singularity, Grand Stratagem, Thousand-Tailed Watcher, Machine Evangel, Imperial Decree, all sorts. So having like lots of ways to generate gold gear is going to be an interesting option. Again, sorry I'm skimming through these. We've got the Jace and the Vanguard Armory. Wombo combo in this one. Jace, if you can play a Plundering Poro on turn 1, conquer, you get a gold gear, you play Jace, you kill the gold gear, you play a Vanguard Armory, boop, turn it sideways, 3 recruits, GG, easy. It's a very, very insane combo, but also if it's popular, it becomes worse because people have gear removal. And obviously it's going to be quite clunky, let's be honest, right? It's a lot of stars you need to align for that to actually work out. Definitely very, very scary combo though. Kaiser won a 22-player event. They took the Rumble deck and turned it into a Kaiser deck. Sad. I'm really skimming through these guys. I'm sorry. I'm quite tilted about my recording not working. So sad. Master Yi here with the Ruin Runner, which I think is a card that I've been underestimating in the earlier recordings. Navori Scout, which has Deflect. It's kind of like a 4-cost version of the Pouty Poro. Part of the value of the Pouty Poro is that it is just a 2 energy card, which gives you consistency. It means you can go wide. So while I don't think the Navori Scout is in the same league as a Pouty Poro, I don't think it's a million miles away. And if ever there's a deck where this style of card is good, it's with Master E, where it can get a buffed up might with the passive legend ability. I think Stellar Corn Herder is a really interesting card. I think it will see quite a bit of play. I'm definitely excited to see that one work out. You've got Thwonk as a stun, Punch First is a great addition as well. Then we've got another Victor deck. This one is also on the Jace and Vanguard Armory Wombo combo. This deck, you really need some expensive gear and some cheap gear. So the Chemtech Cask and the Gold Gear token is going to be the main target to destroy the Mana Progress. You want to get the Vanguard Armory down as quickly as you possibly can. Rally the Troops is a new one. When a friendly unit is played this turn, buff it. Draw one. Draw one's good. One legend managed to get their hands on an Renata Glass deck, which is quite impressive. When you or an ally hold, you may exhaust me to play a Gold Gear token exhausted. And while your score is within 3 points of the victory score, I accept. Your gold adds an additional 1 energy. So you're getting a ton of Gold Gear, because you get Gold Gear when you hold, you get Gold Gear when your opponents hold, and then when you're within 3 points, so if you're at 5 points in a normal game, your Gold Gear suddenly also adds an energy. Leader looks insanely good. Renata Glass is also an unbelievably cool legend champion. 1 energy and 1 power, you can draw 1. 4 energy and 4 power, you can score a point if you exhaust Renata. So you could score the point first and then draw if you want. Like the draw, you could do as many times as you want. Of course, you could also score as many points as you want, but you're going to have to find a way of readying her in order to use this other effect multiple times. You can only use that ability once you're at battlefield. It's an awesome card. The rest of the deck is built questionably, to be honest, but honestly, they can do what they want. They still finished 4th out of 22 with a very interesting deck. I'm just confused by the hidden stuff, right? Like the Teemo and the Fae, but I mean, fair enough, mate. You can hide stuff with Gold Gear, to be fair. Maybe that's why, right? They're turning like, it's like Teemo Renata. You get Gold Gear, you can hide stuff. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. There's also the Hostile Takeover, which is the signature spell, which is also a hidden card potentially. So being able to just pay like 1 for this is kind of absolutely absurd. When I actually did the last recording, I didn't even realize this was hidden, and I still thought it was okay. But hidden on that? Wow, that's crazy. Okay, now I see why there's 3 copies. Damn, that's an insane card. Kaiser won this one. They took a Rumble deck. They turned it into a Kaiser deck. Nice. Fair play. Fair play. Aurelia did come second, though, in this one, which is a deck I wanted to talk about. This is maybe the deck I'm most excited to theorycraft because I think that there's big potential here. Annie is the deck that's doing a lot of aggro stuff at the moment. The big reason is obviously Annie's really good, but like the color combination plus the legend all fit quite well together as a aggro shell. I actually think that green-purple also has big potential to be a solid aggro deck. One of the problems it has is that Yasuo doesn't exactly lend itself particularly well to an aggro style of deck, right? If you compare Yasuo and Annie as legends, right? Annie's giving you 2 energy back to use on combat tricks to gain tempo, whereas Yasuo is costing you 2 energy to even use its effect. Like very often you can't use Yasuo until like turn 3, and then like sometimes you can use it. I know a lot of people are going to be a bit mad at that comment, but it's true. Sorry. Can you tell I'm tilted that my recording broke? I'm actually so annoyed. Disarming Rake. When you play me, you may kill a gear. Definitely a card you can expect to see on a sideboard. And then Severe Mercenary with Accelerate. And if you've spent at least 2 power this turn, I have +2 might and ganking. It's a pretty cool card. Spirit Wheel, Guardian Angel, Zonna's Hourglass. So another big reason I think that this deck has serious legs is the signature spell. It's absolutely outstanding. Reaction speed, give a unit +2 might this turn and another unit -2 might this turn. And it costs just 1 energy. It costs a power as well, but costing just 1 energy it is absurd. I guess when I'm saying how good I think Defiant Dance is, it also really highlights just how good the Punch First card is. The orange 1 energy, 2 power, +5 might card is nuts. Really, really nuts. Quick skim through the rest. We've got another Draven deck. More of the sort of same cards that we've been seeing. We're going to really skim through these. Draven again. More of the same sort of cards that we've already been seeing. Against the Odds, I think, is an interesting one. Give a friendly unit at a battlefield +2 might this turn for each enemy unit there. Maybe even Jinx could play it. Annie, I mean. There's a Master Yi deck with Ruin Runner, like a mid-range build, with Punch First in the mix. Another Aurelia. This one won a 12-player event, 14 players, okay. That's still like a decent chunk of people, to be fair. Janna's in this one, the Divine Dance, lots of combat tricks, as you'd expect. Set with no new cards, won a event. I just thought you wanted to know, but guess what came second? That's right, a Misfortune deck with no new cards. Nice. First place at a 12-player event with Azir. And I'm so impressed that these Azir players managed to get their hands on 3 copies of Arise. That is impressive. Then we've got second place as a Draven player. I think that's all cards we've covered. We've got first place Misfortune with, you guessed it, nothing new. It's possible Misfortune does have new stuff, by the way. And then a Kaiser deck won this one. They turned a Rumble deck into a Kaiser deck with 8 players. And second place was another Aurelia deck, which I thought was quite cool. They're playing Vex, Cheerless. While I'm in combat, friendly spells cost 1 energy and 1 power less to a minimum of 1 energy, and enemy spells cost 1 power or more. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Thank you, Card Market, for sponsoring. Sorry to rush the end of it. What should have been like 1 hour and a bit recording session turned into like 2.5 hours. Not my finest work, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Obviously, I'm learning SPIRITFORGED as we go all together, and as time goes on, I'm hopefully going to be able to offer you guys more deeper insights onto the deck choices. See you next week.